You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, Days of Our Lives fans, Susan Banks is on her way back to Salem to offer her support during the criminal trial, and I suspect we're going to get a psychic shocker from the great beyond that could help answer some questions about the shooting. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and I am thrilled that Stacy Haiduk is doing double duty and returning to her role as EJ's kooky, soothsaying mother, Susan Banks. Hit that like and subscribe, and now let's get into it. Last time EJ DiMera's messy but adorable mom was in Salem, he was getting ready to come out of that coma. Susan sensed that Belle Black had fallen in love with her son, EJ, and then he miraculously woke up. Now Susan's back to Salem and ready to help both Johnny and EJ during the trial of the summer. And of course, Susan's thrilled that EJ has recovered completely. He's even off his cane now that the awful ordeal is done. But Susan does not like it one little bit that her grandson, Johnny, is on trial for attempting to kill his dad. Susan knows somebody did a mean thing coming after her baby boy. So will she use her psychic abilities and find the real shooter? This week and next, Johnny's trial's underway. On Days of Our Lives, Belle and EJ got the jury sat. Leo Stark's upset he can't get out of it so he can cover the trial as a journalist. DA Belle Black was reinstated as prosecutor even though her nephew is on trial, and she's been slipping into the sheets with the defense attorney who also happens to be the victim. And of course, EJ thinks him defending Johnny is risky, but he thinks it's a clever move because he's the victim of the crime. It shows his faith in the defendant. This week, EJ trotted over to see Dr. Marlena Evans, hoping a hypnosis sesh would help spark his memories of the night of the shooting, but no luck in IDing a culprit. So EJ actually remembered the shooting. He even remembered someone was there, but when it came to seeing who the face of his killer, would-be killer was, EJ couldn't conjure it up. It was like it was blocked or something. And there's trauma from the incident. That may be to blame. And Marlena has promised to do another session because she wants the charges on Johnny dropped as well. But on day one in court, Marlena had a crisis and she collapsed. And soon we're going to find out something's wrong. She's got failing health. If you remember, she had that dizzy spell at her house. So Doc may not be able to work with EJ again to resurrect those memories. But with Susan Banks' arrival, there could be another way to prove Johnny's innocence. Maybe not in a court of law, but, prove it to people. It's not scientific. It's just plain psychic. None of it's going to be admissible in court. Even Marlena's hypnosis session wouldn't have been. So why not give it a try? If you remember, last time she was around, Susan saw Gabi and she sensed something evil. And lo and behold, Gabi later told Rafe she had been lurking outside the mansion. We know she was there with a gun. Definitely looked like Gabi was ready to kill EJ that night for what he'd done to Rafe, but then she heard loud voices. So Gabi told Rafe she overheard Johnny and EJ arguing. That was before the shooting, but she didn't stick around, so Gabi does not know who shot EJ. And as a matter of fact, Police Commish Jada has no evidence really against Johnny other than that argument and some circumstantial stuff. He told a few people he wished his dad EJ was dead, which was perfectly understandable. Also, half of Salem probably wishes EJ was dead. And pretty much they have the same evidence on Johnny they have against Chanel with that deep fake video that EJ had made and sent over to Belle. So next week, Days of Our Lives spoilers tell us Susan steps up for Johnny. Without a doubt, she's going to use her supernatural ability to sense his innocence. And Susan may even use her powers to tune into EJ's addled brain to help him remember who shot him that night. If Susan picks up on EJ's mental vibes, she may get a real psychic shocker, because back in February, our leaker told us that EJ's wicked little niece, Rachel Black, did the shooting. And there's been a lot of foreshadowing that support that theory. Rachel's been having nightmares, upset stomachs, anxiety. She was even creeped out at the DiMera mansion today. She told Brady it bothered her looking at the door where she was standing that night watching Johnny arguing with her uncle EJ. So will Susan have a run-in with little terror Rachel and sense the wickedness inside her and sense her guilt for shooting Elvis Jr.? I think that's quite possible. However, Rachel might have some budding psychic abilities herself, even though she's not related by blood to Susan. If you remember, Rachel dreamed of her grandpa John passing away right before he died, and it is Salem where the supernatural, as resurrections are, both common. It would be insane if Rachel could somehow feel Susan poking around in her psyche and block the reading. However, I also suspect Rachel may have blocked the memory of that near tragic, traumatizing event from her mind because her little brain just couldn't handle what she had done. Ultimately, Susan's going to do anything she can to help save Johnny from going to prison. Susan knows it's a crime that her grandson did not commit. And of course, Johnny's nervous about the mounting circumstantial evidence against him, even though there's not one shred of physical evidence against him. So if nothing else, spending time with his grandma Susan could do him a world of good. So those psychic visions are not going to be admissible in court, but if Susan gets a good reading and tells EJ and Belle, obviously Miss Black knows how powerful Susan's visions are. However, I think that even if Susan figured out Rachel did it, I don't think she would run to the cops. I don't think she would run to Belle. I do think Susan would run to her beloved son, EJ. And our trusty leaker said that Rachel soon confides in her doctor friend, Sarah Horton, about committing the crime. So Rachel and Sarah have this connection because for a while there, she was raising her. Because remember, Xander swapped the baby that died with little Rachel. Kristen thought her child died. So Sarah raised Rachel for quite a while along with Xander. She has this attachment to her she's never gotten over. And then if you remember, Sarah had a nervous breakdown and ran off with Rachel, which Kristen's still salty about. So, you know, even if Rachel has suppressed memories of the night of the shooting, they could all come flooding back to her soon, and she's terrified. And then we know that she has some more encounters with Sarah soon because her dad, EJ, is going to kind of be using Rachel as an excuse to spend more time with Sarah because he has reportedly got a crush cooking on the pretty doctor soon. He's at loose ends and Sarah's single. You know, there's a kiss coming. There's a lot more. So we'll see. Rachel might get those memories back. She may not want to tell her parents, and she may decide instead to open up to her friend, Dr. Sarah Horton. So, of course, we don't know 100% that Rachel is the shooter. We just have a very reliable leaker who told us she was. And whether it was intentional or the gun just went off while she was ranting at EJ about her grandma Rachel Blake remains to be seen. Our leaker also told us that Kristen is going to take the fall for Rachel, and she is soon facing a stint in Statesville. So we'll see if Susan gets a psychic vibe that could stun EJ. I am sure he would run to Kristen with this tale if Susan says Rachel did it, rather than confronting his little niece. So we shall see how it goes and if we get a psychic shocker.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.